What's up, good people? What's up? What's up? This is Dre Morissette, and this podcast is called By Word of Mouth. Listen, today I'm flying solo, and my co-host, she got some things going on, so I decided I was going to do this episode by myself. Just some free conversation. I'm just having conversation with you, so pull up a chair, have a sit down, enjoy this, because I got a lot of things. If anybody knows me, if you look at any of my social media pages, I have a lot of things I like to talk about and like to get insight on. And me being a master barber and me being a personal trainer and me just being around a lot of different people, I have many different facets of conversation. So it's things that I want to kind of like talk about, things that I hear, things that I retain, things that I don't like, things that I do like. So having this opportunity right now to be able to have an episode with just me talking to the people, just talking to you guys. I'm welcoming you in my living room. This is the spot I like to be in. And just enjoy this conversation. This conversation is going to open a lot of eyes to many different people. Um, I don't give a damn about the sponsors today. I don't give a damn about none of the technical aspect of any of this today. It's just going to be a free flowing conversation, some things I had written down, and I just want to go off the cuff and see what people think. So pull up a damn chair, sit down, pull up a chair. If you at work, put some headphones on. Don't laugh too loud. If you at home, just enjoy the conversation. If you in your car, let the video play through your speakers and just get to your destination safely. But I'm gonna put a lot of things on your mind. Before I begin, I want to let everybody know. Start looking at these fragrances that the Middle Easterns are making, man. I'm really big into fragrances, and a lot of the American fragrances, they cost a lot of money, man. I don't see myself spending $400 or $500 for one specific cologne that you kind of like want to be easy on the trigger with. Look into these Middle Eastern fragrances, Latafa, Mason Alhambra, places like that, Afnan, things like that, man. They have really quality parfum that is concentrated to the highest level, and man, it smells excellent. It is. I'm telling guys, I'm telling girls, look into Middle Eastern fragrances, man. They are killing. I mean, they are killing the game. And when it comes to fragrances, they have smells that you probably have never smelled before. And right now, I'm wearing, I'm wearing after 9 p.m. by Afnan, and it smells like apple, cinnamon, and I think it has some bergamot in it. Oh, man, it's just you can smell me coming through the podcast, but that's neither here nor there. But if you get a chance to, if you tired of spending X amount of monies on these fragrances, spending 500, 400, 350 for maybe a small bottle or something, check out the Middle Eastern fragrances, man. I'm telling you, they are killing the game. So without further ado, let's get started with our conversation. So there's things that I hear all the time. I have a lot of clients and I have a lot of detailed clients. I have a lot of detailed conversations with specific clients, you know what I'm saying? Just people in general. So I think at this point, I have enough information. I've lived long enough. I have enough information. I have enough stories that I want to be able to tell and just see, what people feel about it. And one more thing, I want to thank, we almost at 100 subscribers. So I want to thank everybody who subscribed to By Word of Mouth podcast on YouTube. I'm very appreciative to everybody doing that. Hey, let's keep the numbers rolling. Let's get it popping. Let's try to get it to 1,000. Let's get it rolling, man. Cause this show right here is probably one of the realest shows that you're going to have in podcasts. Just starting out. It's gonna be episode number 13. So by myself. So let's just get started. I want to say shouts out to Stacks. Um, too bad you couldn't be here, but continue doing your thing, continue working, and continue whatever you're going through. It's gonna get better, and we're here for you. So without further ado, let's pull back the curtain on the BS that things be going on. So let's start off with this. Let's start off with the first conversation. Our first conversation is this: should you stay in a relationship if it's not benefiting you as an individual? Whether you are a woman or a man, should you stay in a relationship that you're only in it because of certain circumstances? I had a client that came to me this past week, and he said, "Man, I'm only staying in this relationship like she doesn't have a skill set." Like he met her on, she was 8 months pregnant. They've been together 10 years, and he treats the when she had the kids, he treats that child like it's his, like it really is his, because she was 8 months. She had the child at she had the child was 8 months when she had. Damn, the child was 8 months when they met. So he took on the role as father, and he has another son by the same woman, but she has no skill set whatsoever. And she has some issues with her mother, and she has some issue with her father. But his mindset, he's always tried to help her get to a certain place where to better herself. And she never. She says she according to him, he says she's cool in the place that she's in. She has no skill set. She has no desire to work. She don't work. She has no desire to do anything. But he feels like, because she went through so much in her childhood, he feels like if he leaves, then he's leaving her hanging. So help me understand this. And I've heard other people stay in relationships because of finance, uh, children, just it's so many things that people stay in the relationship for the wrong reasons. So my thing is, when he told me that, I'm like, eventually you either gonna start resenting that person, or you if you already are mentally checked out, you cannot give that person what they need, because the relationship is really dissolved, but you just haven't left yet. So, for me, it's like, if I was in a relationship that I had mentally checked out, why would I stay? As a man, I think I know I would have to be a man and leave. I can't allow myself to be in a situation where it's bruising mentally for me, or I'm not happy, or it's just a bad situation to be in. Why would I continue to be in that situation? So I often wonder why a lot of people stay in these relationships. You hear some people say, "I stay because I got kids," or is you stay because you don't want to pay child support, because you can find a way to still be the greatest dad or be the greatest mom and to your kids, and not be in that relationship with the person that you're no longer happy with, or things has gotten so bad where it's just not a good situation. So I kind of find that difficult for me. I think I've heard a lot of different stories where, you know, you just don't want to leave because of financial situations. So you rather come home and just be miserable. Y'all know what misery is? I mean, I know some people have been through miserable situations in their lifetime. But to know that you coming home, or you don't want to come home, or you're fighting and arguing all the time, how is that conducive for you? And if you got kids, how is that conducive for your kids to be in that kind of environment? So when do you make an executive decision to say, "Hey, man, I'm not doing this no more," and take on the consequences of what come with leaving? But one of the things that I think will be not so much as a consequence, but eventually a breath of fresh air, to leave something that you know is mentally challenging and breaking you down, and you're no longer really invested with that person, and the only reason why you stay is because either you got something invested with that person, whether it be home, children, finance, or you not want to do the person wrong in your eyes. It's so many things, but at what point in time is it you do something that helps you be a better person? You know what I'm saying? Just instead of coming home and dealing with that, or just knowing that, yeah, man, I gotta go home to this shit here. I don't want to deal with that. At what point in time do you tell yourself enough is enough? Whatever the consequences of me, leaving and telling the truth about how I feel, and finding my way, and getting out of that situation is best for you. But there's so many people who are out here, who are in relationships, who decide, well, this is what it is. But what kind of response is that? Your happiness is not important. Your kids, if you stand for your kids' happiness is not important. Your mental sanity isn't important. All those things are important. So I think that some people find quote unquote valid reasons to stay in a relationship that is just pretty much you checked out. It's no real reason, because you can decide to say, you know, this is where I'm gonna go, and I can still handle my responsibility as a man or a woman, but I don't have to be in this. So I just hear that too many times. I hear that story too many times, and it's like, when do you become responsible to yourself? Be responsible to yourself, uh, to make a decision that's best suited for you, best suited for your mental, your physical, because I know that wears you down. And if you got kids, do what's best, in the interest of your kids as well. But I never understood how somebody can stay in a relationship where it's like hell on earth. It is. So maybe in the comments, y'all can help me understand a valid reason why somebody would say, I'm gonna endure this for until the end of till the wheels fall off, or just whenever, opposed to getting a breath of fresh air, getting a breath of fresh mental capacity, and just be in a better place for you physically, mentally, and also for whoever, if you have kids. So if you have time, write a comment and saying, what's a valid reason why somebody would stay in a relationship that you have mentally checked out. Please leave that in the comments. All right, good people. Let's move on to the next one. Do you prejudge people? I am guilty of that. I've been guilty of prejudging people. I wouldn't some intentionally and some not intentionally, but I know we all prejudge a situation. Let me tell you a situation. I got a client, and he has gold teeth. And I assume just because he's from, a certain place and he has gold teeth, that the lack of intelligence. And it was like, I had this thinking all the time. And even though he never displayed anything that showed me that he had lack of intelligence at all, I just I prejudged what I was seeing as far as his teeth. And it allowed me to it allowed me to flip through the pages of anybody I seen with gold teeth. What registers to me when I see a woman or a man with gold teeth? For me, to be honest with you, it registers, ghetto-ness. It also registers like, how far can a person go in life professionally with gold teeth? I remember one time, and this is crazy. I remember one time I met a chick, and I was online. This was years and years ago. I was online, and I met the chick, and she had a nice face, whatever. She was a correctional officer, and we was exchanging photos, and her photos on the site was they was decent. So I was like, I want to see you. I want to see you in your correctional uniform. I want to see that. You know what I'm saying? And send me some pictures. So I remember it like it was. I remember it like it was yesterday. Um, I was leaving. I was leaving Publix. This is probably like 6 years ago. I was leaving Publix, and I got like six pictures. I got like six pictures, and she sent me these pictures, and all of them were with her mouth closed. Like every picture that she had was with her mouth closed. But there was one picture in particular that she had. she had her mouth open just enough for me to see a reflection, a reflection of what don't look like porcelain. It looked like something, like it was gold. So I screenshotted the picture because I didn't respond yet, and then I screenshotted the picture and I blew the picture up. I said, "Damn, She got gold teeth. And instantly, I was done. Like I didn't want to respond or nothing like that. I was done because in my mind, the mentality of people who have gold teeth, has been stereotyped. And I was like, and she eventually hit me up saying, "You didn't respond to the pictures," and I said, "Yeah, I seen them." She said, "What's the problem?" I said, I, "Do you have gold teeth?" And she said, "Yeah." Is that a problem? Yes, it is, because in my mind and then where I'm at in my life, I couldn't see myself with a person with gold teeth because I could see is where are you going professionally? Where are you going professionally? So the stereotype of gold teeth, I think, runs deep with a lot of people. So back to my client, he has gold teeth. So when we had a conversation, like I had been cutting them for like maybe 4 years, we never really had a detailed conversation. So we had a recent detailed conversation. I was like, this brother's smart. This brother ain't on no BS. He ain't hanging out in the hood. He ain't doing irresponsible stuff. He is trying to climb the ladder of corporate. He is doing a lot of things. And I felt bad because I let my judgment intercept what I thought of him. And that's a problem. A lot of us judge people based off appearance, or judge people off, stereotypical things, or we do this all the time. But I've been in situations where I felt like, damn, this person is not who I thought they was. So many times they see me, they see this, the beard, all that, and they say they have a preconceived notion of who I am. And I always have people say, Dre, you ain't who I thought you were a different person. Some people find me hard to approach. Some people thought I would be mean. Some people thought I would be this, that, and the other. But when those who really, really know me that have the opportunity to get to know me, I am nothing like you think. So hearing that a lot, but we as individuals, we judge people, and I'm guilty of that. So put in the comments there. Do you judge people? How often do you judge people? Do you really fairly just see a person for who they are before you even have one conversation with them? Are you really just non-judgmental all the time? And I think there's a few people who may be non-judgmental all the time, but I almost want to say 85 to 90% of us judge people based off what we're seeing visually or what we heard. You can judge a person off what you heard, and then the notation of what you heard. And when you meet that person, you have already created the feeling of how or what you thought of that person. And then when they speak, they're total opposite of what you thought. So put in the comments, do you judge people on the perception of what you see visually? Is it that you see somebody and you say, "Oh, they ain't this or they ain't that," or whatever your judgment is? Do you judge people based off what you see when you see that person before you even had a conversation at all? Do you judge people? Put that in the comments and let me know how you judge. Have you ever judged somebody? How often do you judge people? And have you said, hey, maybe I should just get to know that person's behaviors before I even try to pass judgment on anybody, because I wouldn't want somebody to pass judgment on me. Put that in the comments for me. Let me see how you feel. All right, rolling on. This one is for the ladies. It's for the ladies, but it can be also contribute to the males, because I've been in this situation. When you're talking to a woman and you use the word submission, a lot of women, when they hear the word submit and submission, it makes them angry. And I said to myself, I thought this morning, I said, when women hear the word submit, I never use that word. I never use that word. I've never asked a woman to be submissive. That's just not part of my behavior. I never asked that. But a lot of men ask women to be submissive, and a lot of women get angry when they hear the word submissive. And I said, why? What is in that word that makes women kind of angry when they hear? What do you mean when submissive? When they mean, what do you mean submissive? I ain't submitting to no man. What makes them trigger? What triggers them in that? What's the triggers in that word submissive or submit makes them go off? And I thought, and this is what I come up with. The thing that makes a woman angry when I wouldn't say all women, because some women that's just in their nature to be uh, yielding to their man or whatever it is. That's just their nature. But for a good portion of women, when they hear that word, I said to myself, when you say submissive, what does that mean? A lot of times when men say you need to be submissive, or even back in the day when women had to be submissive, it was connected to a negative connotation. It either meant you do as you're told, you submit, or you better be cooking and cleaning and doing all. You better do what I say. That word kind of go coincides with what women have known submission to be. And so when they hear that, knowing that the history of that word, I can see why women get angry. And even on the flip side with men, a lot of men won't admit to this, but you also, when a woman says, just when somebody says you got to be submissive to your woman as well. I ain't being hell no. I ain't being that's gay. I ain't nah. A lot of dudes get angry. What you mean be submissive to my woman? I'm a man. But in actuality, I had to learn to use that word to myself, to apply to myself for my woman. And not to cut it short, I'm gonna get back to that story. So let's go back to women of knowing what that word submissive means. It has so many negative thoughts, it has so many negative contrasts and content to it. So women get angry when a guy says that. And it also could be how the guy is saying that. So I said, let me find out what's another word that means submissive. And I'm gonna tell you what I saw. It sounds better. There's two that sounds better to me. There's three words and there's two that sound great. One word that I said didn't sound great was compliant. That to me is harsh. That to me is as harsh as being submissive. Hey, you need to be compliant. Hey, baby, you need to be compliant. That's the same thing as you need to be submissive. Just imagine hearing that. You need to be submissive. You need to be compliant. I can see this still has anger in it. So the other two words that to me sounded better. Now imagine imagine women, your guy saying this. He having a conversation with you, and every intentions that he's saying to you ain't to be a dominant force or to make you yield, to make you, bow down to him. He's just said, hey, baby, it would be nice if you be more accommodating. That sounds a whole lot better to me than you need to be compliant. You need to be submissive. That's just accommodating, because that can mean so many facets to that word. It means so many things. Accommodating. When you go to a hotel, you want the hotel to be accommodating, whether it's breakfast in the morning, whether it's the bellhop, it's the parking, it's the whole room. You want it to be accommodating to you. That makes you feel good. You purchase things based on the accommodation of things. You purchase a home based on the accommodation, the car, clothes, everything. And I think the word sounds better. And one more that sounds just is pleasant that nobody really uses. Hey, babe, it's cool to be yielding sometimes. It's cool to be yielding. That sounds cool too. It don't sound like you telling somebody what to do. And that's the thing. I think when women hear the word submissive, it puts them on the defense, because what comes with that word? So, and if you knew that your man didn't mean it in the way that you have seen it used, what you think it means, also in the fact that you know the sincerity of him. You know what I'm saying? To say, hey, babe, let's, it would be great to be more accommodating. I want to be more accommodating to you, and I want you to be more accommodating to me. That sounds different. So guys, you got to start saying things that, you know, like that to make your woman to help your woman understand um, what you're saying, because words can be really hard. And I know that word submissive, you say that to a woman, oof, you would have thought that the world cracked open, and it was like, what you mean? Girls, a woman would say that, what you mean be submissive? I ain't no slave, and all that goes in the factor. But if the dude has sincere intentions with you as the man in your life, he would find a way to say, hey, that's not what it means. Let's try a different way, accommodate. And men, you need to be accommodating to your women too, because I had to learn that. I had to learn that same. I had the same thought. Like, ain't no man supposed to be submissive. What you mean? What the hell are you talking about? Well, in actuality, you're wrong, because a man should be submissive as well. You should be just as accommodating to your woman as she is to you. It should be a two-way situation. So don't get it twisted. Don't let your ego intercept what you know is right. You can't be right all the time. Hey, baby, you know what? You're right. Babe, yeah, 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 we're gonna do that. Just it's a part of being submissive. You don't have to express your dominance or your masculinity all the time. So that's a way of being submissive. That's a way of yielding. That's a way of, just accommodating to your woman. That is important. So, people, I hope that women and men that's listening to this, you won't take the word submissive if you know the person that is expressing that to you means has good intentions. So, fellas, try switching it up and saying, hey, babe, let's be, I appreciate you be a little bit more accommodating now. I want to be more accommodating than you well. And I guarantee you things won't be as controversial when it comes to words such as submissiveness and all that. Man, just everybody should be able to submit. If you love that person and you want that to work, you're gonna have to bow down to it, to some things. You can't puff your chest out to everything. You have to be yielding. You have to be yielding, and you have to be accommodating. So, women, the word submissive, if you really understand, if you're a mature woman and you really understand what that means, educate other women. Educate other women to let them know, hey, take the power, take the aggressiveness out of the word, and understand, flip the word, say, hey, accommodating or yielding. I guarantee you, the whole expression will be different for women, and especially women towards men who's asking for that. But men, if you're asking for that, you better be willing to give that same submissiveness in return. So understand that. And I had to learn that lesson that, hey, if I love my woman, and I have to be just as accommodating, I have to be just as yielding, and I want her to understand that. And that's not uh, denouncing my masculinity. That's not tearing me down as a man. That's me being a man to understand that I don't have to assert my dominance. I don't have to do anything that or ask anything of my woman that I wouldn't do. Let's try that one. So, moving on. I think this is great so far. It gives me a chance to really express myself. All right, the next one is called what's a deal breaker for in a relationship for you? What's a deal breaker for men and women? I know it's different. What is the deal breaker when you meet somebody? What is a deal breaker? And what is a deal breaker in a relationship? When I mean deal breaker, where he said, I can't do that shit. That is over with. I can't. Or, what I'm saying? Nah, I'm not going, get involved in nothing like that. What is the deal breakers when you meet somebody? Well, for me, when I was out on the dating scene, There was deal breakers for me meeting somebody. One of the deal breakers was she couldn't smoke cigarettes, she couldn't do drugs, she couldn't smoke weed. I don't. And she couldn't do none of those things. I wasn't attracted. I've never been attracted to a woman who smokes weed. I damn sure ain't attracted to a woman who smokes cigarettes or do any type of drugs. That's just me, and that's what I put out there. And I also put out there that a deal breaker for me is how a woman eats, because I've eaten a certain way for so long, a healthy path. I wouldn't want to sit across the table and I'm eating this healthy way and see a woman gorging herself out on pig, pork or whatever the situation. That was a deal breaker for me. Say what you want to say. I don't care how fine that woman was or whatever she had going on, how intelligent or whatever she had going on career wise. I don't give a damn. That was my deal breakers. Period. And I haven't deviated from those. In a relationship, my deal breakers are it's plain and simple. If you cheat, I'm done. There's no negotiation with that. That's a deal breaker for me. There's no negotiation in the fact that, hey, you went out and did something. You can't say sorry for that. You can't make that up. And at that point, I just don't want to be involved with you at all, no matter how bad it hurts me. I would never want to be involved with a woman who decided to cheat in our relationship, and that's just my deal breakers. And some people be like, "Well, what if you?" Nah, I'm not. If I cheated on a woman and she left, then that's the consequence. Or if I cheated on a woman and she decided to stay, then that's okay. That's what she decided to do. But for me, a deal breaker in a relationship is one, if she cheats; two, stealing anything financially, or just obsessive lying, or doing something that just hinders my growth in our growth in the relationship. So, but what is a deal breaker for you? You got people at all different ages that the deal breakers that other people may see like, oh hell no. Somebody else be like, oh, that's nothing. So what do you think? Put in the comments of what do you think some of the deal breakers would be for you when you've just met somebody. What would be a deal breaker? I remember one time, a deal breaker for me was I was having a conversation on the phone, and the woman just would not stop talking, 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 talking. And I let her talk, and every time I began to talk, she would cut me off. I couldn't stand that. And that was a deal breaker for me. That was a huge deal breaker for me, because if you're not willing to hear what I say as a person, how interested are you in me overall? And to cut somebody off in conversation, I think it's just so rude. So there's been many a deal breakers for me. Um, some of the normal deal breakers are hygiene. Hygiene is a deal breaker for pretty much for everybody. But you get some people, like you get older women. I'm talking about like your grandmother or your mother, who's been in a relationship with maybe your father, or with somebody else in a relationship, and that man cheats, and that woman be like, okay, because some women feel like they're too old to start over again. So that's not a deal breaker for them. They don't want to go out there in the streets, or he doesn't want to go out there in the streets and get to know somebody again. So deal breakers, I think, sometimes depend on age. I really, really do. And I think it depends on the maturity of the person and where they're at mentally. If they're a needy person, then if you cheat or do something, then they're not going to leave. But it's not going to be a deal breaker for them. But deal breakers to me are based on maturity, your upbringing, and your mindset and your age. I really believe that. So do me a favor. In the comments, let me know what is a deal breaker for you. What is it? What is a deal breaker for you? Let's continue on. All right. This is for the guys. Check this out. This is fun. Um, if a woman can't cook, let's just say that, because a lot of guys think that a woman, or they want a woman that has the ability to cook. If a woman, if you meet a woman and she looks good, career is outstanding, have a lot going on for herself, intelligent as hell, physically fit, but she can't cook. She she can't cook a loaf of bread. She can't cook at all. Is, would you not be with her? Would you not be with a woman? This is for the fellas. Would you not be with a woman if she couldn't cook quinoa? She couldn't boil rice. Seriously, because you know a lot of anybody that's watching this right now, you know a lot of men predicate their relationships built based on, can a woman cook? Now, for me, I don't give a damn if you can cook or not, because my mother raised me and my brother to be able to cook for ourselves. So that's not a deal. That's not even something I even think about. It If you can cook, cool. If you can't, cool. It don't matter to me. I'm not gonna starve because you can't. I can cook for the both of us. But for a lot of guys, is not a woman not being able to burn. Is that a deal breaker? Is that like I ain't gonna be with you because you can't cook? I know too many guys. The first thing they say, "Oh man, she got to be able to cook, man. I gotta, she got to be able to cook. She got to be able to burn. If she can't cook, man, I ain't gonna mess with her. She got to be able to cook." Okay, if that's what you, if that's a status quo for you, that woman has to be able to be able to cook. What if she can't? But she have all the accessories that complete a good woman. And let me say this too. Does a woman ability to cook, does that make her a complete woman? Does that necessarily complete the circle of how a woman, what the how career, intelligence, comforting, nurturing, all that, is that in the circle of what a man needs? Do your woman have to be able to cook? And I hear this all the time. So women, on the flip side of that, you can't cook. Do you feel bad if a man left you because you can't cook? Or would you say to yourself, Negro, that's your loss? So, well, how would you feel about that? That's a good question for the ladies. If you know you don't cook, you don't like cooking, you're busy, you have a career, you're doing your thing, and you know you don't cook well. You like to go out to eat, um, and you just don't like being in the kitchen like that. If a dude that you met had all the qualities that you look for, career, workout, crib, the whole nine, and when he needed you, when he asked you, could you cook? And you said no, you didn't hear from that brother ever again. Would that bother you? Would that uh, would that push you to learn how to cook, or would you be like, that's his loss? So women in the comment section and dudes in the comment section, I want you to do this for me. Is it, if a woman can't cook, but she has all the qualities that make a great woman? I'm gonna say this just a quick second. I'm gonna say this real quick. I think a woman's ability, you know what? I don't give a damn. I don't. I don't think a woman's inability to be able to cook sh- is a bad thing. I just don't. I really don't. I don't think that completes the circle of what I would have been looking for in a woman, if she didn't know how to cook. But fellas, every fella ain't like me, so it's like, fellas, put in the comment section. Is it if you met a woman that has everything that you're looking for, I mean everything that you're looking for, which is hard, but if she had 99.9% of the things you were looking for and she could not cook, would you bounce? And women in the comment section, if you met a guy, if you met a guy that left you, left you because you couldn't cook, would that prompt you to say, oh, well, that's his loss? And you have all these qualities. You doing your thing. You making money. You got your crib. You got your career. You dressed to the nines. You in shape. You a nice person. You're nurturing. You have all these qualities. But that dude left you because you couldn't cook. Now, would that affect you? Or would you say, oh, well, or would that prompt you to go get you some cooking lessons? Which would you do? Put that in the comments. Put that in the comments. What would, if a guy left you because you could not cook, what would you care? Or would you be like, oh well, or would that prompt you to say, I need to give me some damn cooking lessons? Put that in comments. Let's see what that would be like, and what the men feel and what the women feel. Let's see how that go. Put that in the comments for me. And the last but not least piece of information. This is what I want to know. This is for men and women. Should insecure people pursue relationships? Let me say that again. Should insecure people pursue relationships knowing that they're insecure? I'm talking about dumb insecure, where it's like you can't move, you can't do nothing because this person is so insecure. You can't go out of town, you can't hang with your friends, you can't leave your phone, you can't do anything because this person is so insecure. Should insecure people be allowed to be in relationships? Now, before you say, what do you know, Dre, that's a little harsh. No, it's not. Think about what I'm saying. There's people out here who have been in relationships where you be like, this woman or this man is so insecure, I can't be myself. So when you think about that, if you had known that a person was insanely insecure, would you had up front, if they had a thing like when you meet a person, imagine you being the Terminator, right? You know how the Terminator, when he sees somebody, it would show on his screen, on his eyes, that what kind of person it was, how tall they was, whatever it was. So imagine you meeting somebody, and the first thing you saw was this person is insanely insecure. Would you still pursue them? So what I'm saying is, do you think insecure people should be allowed to be in relationships without getting that insecurity rectified through counseling? I personally believe if you are an insecure person, you should be alone until you rectify those insecurities. Because those insecurities that you have, you project that on the person. Period. You can make a person, you can miserably concoct yourself out of a relationship based on how insecure you are. There's so many stories of insecure. You can go in anywhere. You can ask anybody, give me a story about insecurity. Or give me a story that you know that happened to you. Or give me a story that happened to your friend. Everybody got a story about somebody that they knew, somebody that they was with. Insecure issues are a plague to a relationship. They are a plague to a relationship. This is what I say all the time. I've never been an insecure dude, ever. I've always been the type that if it comes to me and I find out that you did something, I'm gone. I'm not going through your phone. I'm that to me is a weak person. Because if you get into a relationship, first of all, without any trust of that person, then why are you in it? You're in it for the wrong reasons. If one of the things, one of the valued things that you don't have in a relationship is trust, then you should never get involved with one. So if an insecure person, that's one of the things that an insecure person brings to a relationship is trust issues. So if you know you have trust issues, why are you pursuing people? That's crazy. You are infecting people by your infectious insecurities. This is what you're doing. That's like somebody going around, and this may be a little over the top, but I'm gonna give you a kind of headspace of what I'm talking about. Imagine somebody having HIV or AIDS and they know it, but they still pursuing people to have sexual relations with them. You know what you're infecting people. You're infected. So why would you go out and do that? So even though that's a little extreme, for me, anybody who has extreme insecurities or real insecurities that show up, why are you pursuing people? Why are you involved, trying to get yourself involved when you haven't rectified your issues? You haven't fixed yourself. So my question again is, should insecure people be pursuing relationships or should they be in relationships? Please, please, please in the comments. Leave what you think about that. There's so many relationships out here. There's so many relationships out here that have I can't even say the word. A lot, a lot, a lot of insecurities in their relationship. A lot of people have relationships that are so hugely built on, or not even built, or are heavily induced in insecurities. You know what I'm saying? I know people who don't, they can't go nowhere without their significant other, or they can't, they hold that significant other's hand just to keep them in, like almost on a leash, not because that's really what they want to do. They don't want nobody else to be looking at them. Yeah, this person is with me like their property. There's so many people that are walking around in relationships that be like, you can't go nowhere, you can't enjoy your life that you had, with your friends before you met that person. You can't, I mean, if you got good friends in your life and you happen to meet a woman or a man, and you know that this person's friends are great people, why would you try to stop them from engaging in their friendship? That level of insecurity is mind-blowing for me. There's some people that can't have their own phone, just to know that you can't have your own property without somebody looking through your own property, or going through your stuff, or having these weird thoughts about what you're doing. So for me, when I think about insecure people in relationships, I think that is the highest of toxicity that you can have. Period. That's just what it is. So my thing, put in the comments of this, good people. Put do you think put a quick story of insecurities, or just put, do you believe that insecure people should be pursuing relationships knowing that they have this monster of insecurities flowing through their body? For real. Put that in the comments, man. I want to see what you're thinking. I want to hear what you're thinking for real. Because I really believe anybody who has insecurities through the roof, you're infected. You're infected. And then you're infected. So when you're not fixing yourself before you meet somebody, you're infected that person. You're infecting that person's behavior. You're making that person affected, mentally by your behavior or your infectious insecurities. So put in the comments of what you think about what I'm saying when it comes to, should insecure people be allowed to pursue relationships? And one last thing I have to just put this out here. This is for guys. When when you're at a mature level, this is real talk. And I remember this before this word even existed. When you're at a mature level and you know who you are as a man and you know who you are as a person, when you're having real men, let's think about real men conversations. If you know what a man is talking about when he's talking to you, or you know what your intentions are when you're talking to somebody, why the hell do you have to say pause? As if you're saying something homosexual. I never understood that pause situation. Like if you're a man and you know what you mean by what you're saying, why do you have to say pause? You should never have to say pause. Like you know what your intentions are. You know if you're heterosexual, you know what you're saying. Yeah, it can sound a certain way, but you know what you meant. So why do you have to relate to the other person? I didn't mean it that way. But if the other person was just as mature as you are, you don't have to say that. And so many times you hear conversations. This is not, and I never hear it. I've never heard this. And comes from the maturity and then comes from the mindset. I never heard a white person. I never heard a white person, Asian person. And I can't recall. I might have, but I don't know. I don't know too many. I can't. I probably heard a Spanish person say it once or twice, but I don't know no white person. And not to say they're more mature, they're more intelligent or whatever than African Americans or Spanish. That ain't even what I'm trying to get at. I've never heard a white person have a conversation with another white male and have to say pause. And I've had a lot of white people sit in my chair. I've never heard them say that. Because when they're talking, sometimes the impression I get when they're talking, they're just having a conversation. So why do I have to keep saying pause or something that to make sure you're not in that make sure you understand I'm not insinuating anything other than what I'm saying. Real men don't do that. Real men don't have to put a backing behind what they're saying. Because if you're a man and you're mature, that's what it is. And if that person that you're talking to is mature, and that's what it is. They understand what you're saying, but to get this to put this word out, pause. Really? One of my clients said that to me. He said it, and I thought it was funny as hell. And he's a good dude, but he said something, and I think he got kind of caught up, just because I think we look too much into what we say. Some things can feel different, but some things is just like you're overthinking it. I told him, I told him to park his car in the back because he hate parking his car in the front because he just gets real. He drives a Tesla. He gets real, like he seems like somebody's always about to hit his car. He got his car hit. He got it fixed. So I think he's kind of like has PTSD about somebody hitting his car. So I was like, yo, just park in the back. Come through the back door. So he texted me and he said, I'm coming through the back door. Pause. Yo, man, come on, man. And it was funny as hell. And I joke with him about it, but I get what you're saying. And I don't think of it no way until I think people don't think of it as a way until somebody uses that word pause. So men, I'm talking to men. If you a man, you're a grown ass man, you got to stop using that dumbass comment. Cause you ain't no grown ass man if you gotta say pause in a conversation 50 times to legitimize what you saying and what you ain't saying. That's real talk. Men need to start having real conversations about real understandings. You know what I'm saying? And saying pause is a weak mindset. You know who you if you know who you are, you ain't got to say that shit. If you know you make money, if you got money, rich people who got money don't tell people how much money they got. That they just don't. Certain people, wealthy people, don't talk about it. They just don't talk about it. So when you're mature and you know what you got going on, you don't have certain kind of conversations. and you don't say certain things. So me talking to men, knock it off with the pause shit. Knock it off with the pause. Because if you know who you are, you don't got to use that word. And as another thing, mature men out here, I'm going to tell you something. If you're a mature man out here and you see young cats out here doing wrong shit, and you're in a position to, help them out or intercept what they're doing wrong, and you're not, you file for that. I think anybody who's reached a certain age, a certain status, and you see younger cats going astray, whether they take your advice or not, you did your due diligence in saying something to them. But to never take the opportunity to say, "Hey, let me talk to you." If you don't do that as an OG, as a mature person, as a grown ass man, then you have failed yourself. Because I think when you see somebody, I think if when you were young, somebody took the time, whether it was your uncle, whether it was your father, whether it was a friend of the family, or somebody, a teacher, or somebody told you, "Hey, you don't want to do this because this can lead to this." So if you don't do that same thing back, then you failed. You can never say something when you see these young cats out here wilding out. You can never say anything about any kind of tragic situations that you know that you could have maybe had to implement or put a footprint on to try to stop. Anytime I got a young cat in my chair, and if they ask me something, I'm gonna tell them. Now, whether they take my advice, it's not on me. It's just like if you give a bum money, or if you give somebody in need money, you did your good deed. Now, if they fuck it up and do whatever they do with the money, that's on them. But you did your part. And the universe recognized that, God recognized that you did your part. So when you see these young cats and you had an opportunity to give them dialogue, and you should do it. Never hesitate to give a young cat. Don't be like, "Oh, they ain't gonna listen." But you don't know that. You don't know that. So take the time to if you reach a certain age, to give back the knowledge and the information to these young kids. Now, what they do with it ain't up for you to do. It's up for you to do is to give the information and let them work with the information. Whether they still go the way that they're going to the left, it's not on you. But if you have reached a mature age and you're not giving back to these young cats, you're fucking up. And you're why the evolution of this craziness that's going on in the world continues to happen, because nobody wants to intervene and nobody wants to say anything to these young cats and say, "Hey, man, this is what it is." I got a young cat that's a barber at the shop, and he wanted to come work out with me. I'm like, "Yo, I'm with you. Come on, come on, come on." I'm not going to turn him down, because it gives him the opportunity to see older cats doing something, in the physical form, keeping their bodies in shape or whatever. And that's something that he can incorporate in his life. So anytime I get a chance to sit a young cat down, I'm going to talk. What you do with the information is you. And stop not taking advantage of doing that to these young cats. And one more thing. A lot of us out here are eating so bad. A lot of us are eating so bad and not knowing that you really killing yourself. And it's like there's an opportunity to know that a lot of things that's going on in this world, you can change on your end. There's so many things that there are. I talk about food all the time. There's so many bad elements in this food. Food is horrible. But a lot of us want to say, it don't taste good, or all these narratives of why you can't eat healthy. But as soon as you get sick, you say, "I wish I would have. I wish I would have did this. I wish I would have did that." Don't put yourself in a position, man or woman, to get sick based on some shit that you're eating and continue to indulge in that's not beneficial to your body, man. You don't, if you're any kind of mature woman, this is a scenario or a thing that I want people to example. If you're a mature person and you got stuff going on, you don't let trash come in your house. You don't put trash on the floor in your house. You don't eat something and throw it on the floor. You don't have uh, onions on the floor or food on the floor. You don't drop trash in your house. So why are you dropping trash in your body? I don't understand this. Why are people out here putting trash in their bodies? But you don't let trash in your house. Some of you have the most immaculate houses, immaculate cars. You dress immaculate. But the shit you put in your bodies is trash. It's not immaculate. Start looking at the things that you're eating, man. Start looking at the things that you're eating. Look at when you use the bathroom. Look at these things. Start changing the narrative for your own culture. If you got kids, start changing the things and what they see of how you eat. Because a lot of these things that we do today is what our parents did. If our parents weren't good with money, some of us are not good with money. If our parents ate like a certain way, we eat that certain way. You can change the narrative of what you're doing. It's not scripted for you to have to do what your parents did. If your parents taught you great things about money, I applaud you. Stick with it. But a lot of us didn't get that opportunity to have parents that taught us about financial literacy and things to do with finance. Most of our parents were just trying to, hold on to money. But just because your parents did it doesn't mean it's going to benefit you. Everything that I had to learn on my own. My mother had money, but she didn't teach my brother and I about money. And my father damn shouldn't teach us about no money. He didn't teach us about food because even though the food back then wasn't that bad, but it's like, yo. So if you are parents out here and you know these foods is horrible, read some of this shit on these foods. Read some of this stuff on foods. And again, related back to, you're not gonna put trash in your house. You're not gonna leave banana peels in your bed unless you're just that nasty. So why are you leaving banana peels in your body? Some of you people ain't used the bathroom in days. Ain't drinking water or nothing. Start looking at what you put in your body. And I'm saying this to you people because I understand the validity of what this food is doing. And a lot of y'all that listen to my podcast know me. This ain't something that I just now talking. I've been talking this for 24 years. Actively been talking this for 15 years. So listen to what somebody's saying. Just do research. If any of you get a chance to watch one thing on Netflix, it's called What the Health. If y'all watch that documentary, you will be sickened by the shit that they're doing with the food in America. One of my clients, he went away to Europe, and he said, "Dre, I don't know what they put in the food, but it makes you feel great. It tastes different. They don't put all the BS in it, the MSGs and the sugar and all the stuff in it, because it's illegal. When something's not illegal, you're susceptible to anything. What's illegal here in America to put in the food that you know of?" So overall, man, peep out what's going on. Watch the documentary What the Health and educate yourself. Through education, start putting in everything you get. When you can know a lot and don't put it to use. So any education that you get, put it to use. Make it habit forming. Make the things that you do that's great in your life habit forming. Period, man. So I hope today you guys enjoyed this show. Man, I had a great time. Leave a comment. Leave a comment on anything that I discussed today. It just was great to have this conversation. If you follow me on Instagram, you follow me on Facebook or TikTok, I always got these short little stories to tell or information that I want to put out. So doing this podcast by myself on this particular episode is nothing new to me. It's normal to me. This is me. This is my gift. This is my calling. I can speak about. I'm in my own element. So I appreciate you guys listening. Take time to write in the comments. And again, I appreciate all the subscribers. I want to say what's up to Stacks. I hope everything gets better. And to everybody, take the time to listen to what I'm talking about on this podcast today. I'm just happy to be able to do this. I know it's been a while since we had an episode, maybe a month. I just had a lot of things that I'm trying to do. Stacks has things she's trying to do as well. So, but I don't want to let the people hanging from having information. So I really, really, really hope that y'all enjoyed this episode. It was fun doing it by myself. And, just pay attention. Take note to everything that I said. And try to change some of the things that you think about or all the topics that we talked about today. I really enjoy everybody. Forget about all that sponsorship. I had a great time. Thank you for joining me on my podcast by word of mouth. Get the episode on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, and I thank you, everybody.